Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm super excited to be joined by Kyree Oliver, founder of Influx, digital marketing specialist and performance-driven entrepreneur helping brands grow through clarity, execution, and influence. Kyree blends marketing strategy with mindset and discipline, drawing from his background as a former Division 1 athlete to help founders scale with intention, confidence, and consistency, not just tactics. Kyree, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. I'm super excited to have you here, and I'm excited to dive in and learn more about your journey. So with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning. So if you don't mind taking me back to what it was that you was doing before you started up Influx, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Gosh. Yeah. So I stopped playing football, American football, in 2015. And I was trying to figure out what was next, and I had no idea. And I didn't like the thought of that. I was driving for Lyft and Uber in San Francisco, and I was working in special education with a severe behavioral called transition program. So 18 to 22-year-old kids who basically got kicked out of school programs. So they were in a county program because of their behavioral problems. So I worked there for about two and a half years, and then was also driving for Lyft to Uber, living in a trailer, trying to figure out what in the world I was doing. And so I have actually still, I guess to this day, no marketing background. I've never taken a marketing course. I've never read a marketing book. I've done just over $380 million in revenue for my clients in my marketing agency. And I have no, I guess, standard educational background in it. I just started doing it for a friend of mine that year in 2015, and it's just grown from there.
I love that. So just accidentally finding the field and then moving from there.
Yeah, my friend got scammed by a marketing agency.
No way.
And he was paying them, back then it was like $3,500 a month plus $1,500 a month in ad spend just to build his fan page on Facebook. They were posting content for him that wasn't very good. They weren't engaging the audience very well. They weren't looking at any of the data to see what was going on. And then he found out that they were just buying fake followers from the Philippines. So they were taking his money plus his ad spend. And I asked them, I think one day I made fun of him. I was like, you have 26,000 followers. You got 7 likes on your last 3 posts. This is really bad. Either you suck or they suck, but one of you guys is not very good at this. And I asked him, do you have any way of figuring out what they're doing or how they're doing it? Or do you guys have consistent calls on how to check their performance? He was like, no, I just met them at an event and they just said they'll do this for me. And this is what you have to do nowadays. I was like, I don't think that's how it works. So I just told him, can I jump in and just see what they're doing, what I think they're doing wrong? And I think in my first week, we had quadrupled his engagement. I culled most of his followers. He went down to 2,000 followers, and we 4x his engagement on his average post. I started posting for him 4 times a day. And it was at the same time I was interviewing people. I've done over 1,000 interviews of people, mostly about their lives. So not actually so much about business. Some of them were definitely about business. But I started learning human behavior. I started learning why we think the way we think and what we attach ourselves to. So I started doing back then, quote images worked really well. And so quotes from him and then quotes from historical figures, and I would sprinkle them throughout so that he got the same authority almost as the historical figures or as the celebrities, because his quotes were being shared along with theirs. And so we built him to 180,000 page fans in the first 6 months of doing that.
Love that. That's amazing. Such great growth early on. And you touched on it there as well, but half the thing with marketing is psychology. It's putting yourself in that avatar shoes, putting yourself in that person you're trying to speak to and then working backwards from there. So let's dive into Influx a little bit more then. So walk me through at this point, who would you say is your ideal customer? And then from there, how is you help them and how would you support them?
This is back then.
Even now that we've grown and progressed, so what does their company look like today?
Yeah, now it's not similar to just about any other that I've heard of. It's a purely boutique agency. I'm the only one who runs the ads. I don't have a team. 2017, I'd built up a team of 6 and I hated it. I'd realized I hated managing people and not being responsible for the results. Somebody would ask me something that happened in the account and it was just hard to keep up with everything. Team dropping the ball. I think it was just annoying to me, honestly. And so I cut everybody within 2 weeks. And I was just like, I'm absolutely done doing this. I'd hired friends who actually probably shouldn't have been in their roles, but I was trying to be helpful. And so from then on, I just didn't see any barrier to being successful at running a marketing agency by myself. And so I just wanted to test that out. How far can I go? What can I do? And so I started working with bigger brands. I started raising my prices so
Yeah.
to reflect the work. I remember seeing a very well-known person, let's say in the marketing space at the time, talk about that he'd made $30 million in Facebook ads. And he like was making millions of dollars for himself, but he had started off, he said he had made it for his clients. And I had never audited my client accounts. I'd never seen how much money it actually generated. And he said it was over a 5-year period. And I looked over a 2-year period that I had done at that point, and I'd made like $36 million for my clients. And I was
Nice.
charging $700 a month, $800 a month to run ads. And I was like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. Something's not adding up here. And while I appreciated the opportunity that some of these larger companies gave me to allow me to work with higher budgets and higher ad spends, I just wasn't charging what I should have. So I started raising my prices. I started trying to attract better customers. Didn't always work out that way. But I think it's just been a consistent process of figuring out who I enjoy serving, who I enjoy working with across multiple different industries. I don't just have one vertical, but I found I wanted interesting people to work with. I wanted
Love
projects
that.
that I could be excited about. And I've just built a company around that.
That's so cool. And having the luxury to pick and choose at the point where you, as you say, people you want to work with and make sure they're actually doing good as well,
Yeah.
is a really cool aspect to that. And I suppose like when it comes to managing a team and managing a company, it's just whatever kind of fits your boat. And why should you not pursue that if you want to be on your own and do marketing business by yourself? But with your mindset behind that, because not a lot of people are brave enough to do it, which is obviously aspect of bringing in team and friends to help out. Do you reckon any form of being successful as an athlete has really helped with that mindset, becoming successful as a founder as well?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of crossover. I think the ability to just execute on a plan was huge. It's also funny that I chose to do solo when I come from a team sport. Like I'm
Yeah.
good at the leadership side. I do a lot of speaking and training and helping people build and grow teams. I just didn't care to do it for this business. Funny enough, I'm transitioning into doing that now for my coaching business. And I will need to build a team and I will need to build an operational structure that's a little bit more robust than what I do for my marketing company.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to relearn and rewire these things that I've just always had in me that I've learned how to not do now as a solo person. But I think there was a lot of crossover just of being able to outthink and be more resourceful than most people I saw in my industry. I think it led back to football a lot, like doing things on the fly. You have a plan and then the ball snaps and you don't have a plan anymore. They do something you didn't anticipate, or somebody fumbles, or something goes wrong. You have to pivot very quickly. So I think resourcefulness and just being able to think on my feet was
Yeah.
probably those were the two biggest things that I brought up from football to business.
Yeah, so true. And I can relate a lot. I have a background in football as well, not American football, but
Yeah,
soccer. And it's
soccer.
definitely that like resilience, as you say, being quick on your feet because you put so much into practice of play, like so many run throughs. But as soon as one little thing changes, you have to think on your feet and go back to all the archives you have in your head of what scenario can I use here.
Yeah,
So even in marketing, stay on top of the game. It's such a great asset to have to be able to think on your feet and just pivot in an instance.
very much.
Yeah. So with that, and obviously being in marketing yourself, I'm curious to find out how you go about acquiring your customers. So like, what channels or what methods are you really finding most effective for yourself at the moment?
Yeah, I do all organic content and then referrals. I post 3 times a day on Facebook. I've posted 3 times a day since April 27th of 2018. I've just been the most consistent person that I've seen posting content, and most of it's not even about marketing. I realize that, again, people are people. And so I talk about us as humans and what we don't do, how we justify the things that we say to ourselves. And I realize that buyer psychology is human psychology. And when they can tell that I think through the way we operate as people in our personal lives, that translates quite effectively over to them relying on me to think with the same level of depth and clarity about their businesses. So I've brought most people in, again, organically, and then from referrals from other people. So I do a lot of consulting on how do you think like your consumer, because most business owners only know how to think like a business owner. This is why
Yeah.
people come up with the most like robust, really cool launch, and I'm going to do all the things and make it look really awesome to my eyes. And they launch it to an audience, and the audience goes, oh, we don't actually care about this. And it was a realization that most businesses have a really hard time thinking from the lens of their consumer, as opposed to what do we think looks really awesome.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the key to all Kyree success. Anyone listening, just put yourself in that consumer's mindset.
Yeah.
We're going to steal some thoughts, and then, in as that being said as well, like when it comes to obviously you help people run ads yourself. Have you ever had to do that for yourself as well? Has that been something you'd want to implement into your own business?
Yeah, it'll be for my other business. I don't
Okay.
ever care to do it for marketing. I've always said like I would be in such a deep depression trying to make generalized marketing content for people. And there's some people who are amazing at it. It's the bane of my existence. I tried to make a course one time in like 2018, and I think I got two lessons in. I was like, I hate this. I hate this so much. I think it's because I like it solving individual problems. I didn't
Yeah.
know how to translate that to what's generally applicable to people. And I knew how lucrative it was. I know how much money people are making from marketing programs and things like that. It was just so soul sucking for me. I like solving individual problems. And so I just threw it out the window if I'm not even going to attempt to do generalized marketing stuff for people.
That's so cool. And again,
Yeah.
keeping it streamlined, just working with who you want to work with. And what are your plans moving forward then? So do you have plans to scale this side of the business? And like, what is your end goal when you think about that in your head?
Yeah, the coaching business will definitely be like my baby. It's what I would do naturally if I wasn't getting paid for it. Marketing has become a skill that I've learned really well, again, only on the back end of the human psychology, human behavior, buyer psychology side of things. So I don't care to scale that to any crazy amount. Like I'm already doing really well with it. I could maintain where I'm at right now literally forever and be perfectly content with it. But the coaching business will eventually be the one that takes over.
And I suppose in a new venture, because coaching business and marketing are slightly different, it's different products, different people you're speaking to, different service. Where are you finding like the biggest challenge for yourself in maybe pivoting or taking that next step within the coaching?
Yeah, figuring out the one to many model. I was just on a call with a good friend who's very well known in our space, like online marketing coaching space. Actually, a new friend. We've known each other online for a while, but we just got
Yeah.
on a Zoom call yesterday. And we were talking through needing to implement a one to many model because even in my coaching, I've only done one on one. Like
Yeah.
I've dove headfirst both my businesses into doing one on one. And he told me on the call, he was like, I'm shocked it's worked for this long. Like most of the time, unless you start doing like influencer, let's call it grifty, scammy, just say like the big boisterous thing and flex the crazy lifestyle. Most times people can't sustain a business like this just pulling from their pool of their normal like core audience. They have to
Yeah.
expand, they have to go way downstream and start serving people that actually shouldn't be working with them in order to maintain this thing that they've built. So he was like, you're lucky to have lasted for this long. I'm sure you can probably figure it out, the thinking on the fly thing. But the best sustainable thing to do for your business is start figuring out how you can start speaking one to many. So a group
Yeah.
coaching model, a subscription program, something like that is something I actually booked an Airbnb. I live about an hour from Scottsdale, where Cole and all the other guys live. I booked an Airbnb for Scottsdale for Wednesday to Saturday this week to start building out that model for myself.
Sick. I love that. And
Yeah.
it's different factor. And also with the one to many, it allows more time for capacity on your calendar. So as much
Yeah.
as it's easier to scale, I just think you help a much better form of people within that short frame of time that you have available.
Yeah.
Um, and as a founder, that's so valuable. And then, so Kyree, I have one final question to ask you before we log
Please.
out. So if you could go back in time, maybe to the start of your own like entrepreneurship journey, and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know then, what would you say to yourself?
I'm going to give two answers, one for myself and one for other people. For myself, I would just be like, good luck. I found, I think, also in my coaching business, as well as the marketing, if I told you how it was going to turn out, if I gave you a piece of advice, it would just ruin the process. And I am nobody to rob somebody else of their process. So all the mistakes I made, I was supposed to make. All the things I did wrong, I was supposed to do wrong. And so I actually literally wouldn't tell him anything. And it would piss him off and it would probably make him so much better that
Yeah.
I'm not going to reach down and give any answers. To other people, again, the biggest thing would be to learn people. And I know because we're in marketing, and not everybody obviously listening to this is in marketing, but specifically for this area of expertise, it attracts a lot of people who don't like interacting with others, which is why we're good on a computer screen. It's why we're good inside of an ad account. It's why we're good on a spreadsheet. We're really bad oftentimes at interacting and figuring out what this actually means beyond the number. So if I see a number on a page, I don't know what it means about an actual human. And so I would say the biggest skill that most people should acquire once they figure out the numbers and the buttons to click to run a marketing campaign or to set up a marketing campaign is learn what it actually means to the people behind the numbers in your spreadsheets. And I think giving that understanding, you start to learn how to measure the temperature of an audience before you put something out to that audience.
Yeah, that's so true. And Kyree, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out to work with you, connect with you if they would like to do so?
Yeah, Instagram is probably the easiest. It's just at Kyree on Instagram. Facebook is where I post to get most of my content. It's, if you look up Kyree Oliver, it's the big brown guy. I think it's like Kyree Oliver 1994 is like the backslash, facebook.com/Kyree Oliver 1994. But yeah, those are probably the easiest places to get in contact with me. Any questions, anything anybody needs.
Beautiful, amazing. And thank you again for joining us. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing, and we will see you on the next one.